Raider Nation, tap in. We talking football, man. My name's Steady, and I got another one like the other one. Today's April 14th, 2026, man, and it's been reported that Kalen Black, running back out of Indiana, has an official top 30 visit with the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, I believe, I mean, it's pretty known by now. I mean, we could all assume that Najee Harris isn't going to sign with the Raiders. He did have an Achilles tear in 2025, so it could be anything. It could be his medicals. It could be a lot, but I think enough time has passed to where he hasn't signed with us and he hasn't signed with any other team. So it's getting close to the draft. They're bringing in Kalen Black. As far as day three running backs, man, that's probably my number one target. I have him graded as a third round pick, but due to positional value, you could probably get him somewhere in the fourth round. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good running back prospects in this draft, especially day three prospects. You got both dudes out of Penn State. I believe you got another one out of either Wisconsin or Nebraska. I be getting those mixed up, man. Rundown be talking about him a lot, man, but he fits in zone really, really well. Man, it's a few, but as far as me personally, day three is the spot for a running back. I like Kalen Black, but if you like somebody else, man, drop it in the comments, man. Let me know who you got. Let me know what round you think that they could get this dude in, man. Moving on, I think a topic of discussion lately has been the quarterback situation, the quarterback competition. I was listening to Q this morning, right, and he played a little audio snippet, right, of Ian Rappaport. He appeared on the Rich Eisen show. And in that audio clip, Ian Rappaport talks about the quarterback situation with the Raiders, and he mentioned how he talked to Raiders staff, and they were blown away by Fernando Mendoza and how well his top 30 visit went. You know what I mean? Just all the intangibles, character, leadership qualities, intelligence. You know what I mean? And these are all things that we've known. You know what I mean? Like we knew he had these things, but for him to point out that they were blown away, like that, it sort of begs the question. Does he have what it takes to win the starting position straight out? And that's gonna be. I don't know if that's going to cause distraction, but it's definitely going to be a hot topic throughout training camp, man. It's something to look forward to, something to pay attention to. Now, me personally, I'm high on Cousins. I like Cousins. I've always liked him. When we ended up getting Gardner Minshew in 2024, I wanted Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? He had a rough deal in Atlanta. That whole situation was bogus. But at the beginning of 2024, even at the end of 2024, he played really well. You know what I mean? I still think he has it in him. I still think that he's a capable starter, more than a capable starter, man. But Mendoza has it all too. You know what I mean? And I don't know if Mendoza's youth is gonna get, is gonna be what takes over, but it's gonna be interesting to think about, man. Now with the competition, however it plays out, I do think that Mendoza has to make it to where there's no way you can start Cousins. You know what I mean? When they talk about beating him out, I think that he has to make it so blatantly obvious to where if you sit this dude, you're gonna get pushed back by the entire team. You know what I mean? And that'll probably be obvious. I don't think right away, but somewhere like in the middle to where everybody gets a good sample size. Definitely before preseason, way before preseason, you should know. If we don't know by then it's probably not going to happen. I think with a situation where, if they have a good battle and it ends up being equal, I do think you have to give it to Cousins. Just because the development is the most important part, right? The development of Fernando Mendoza, that's the most important part, right? And it's not, trying to convince everybody that you're right to draft him. All that's going to come in due time, So in order for him to start, this is just my opinion, he has to be clear cut, man, the best quarterback in the room, and by far, if it's anything equal to where, it's kind of like, maybe, you know what I mean? You got to go with Cousins, and you got to continue to, develop and do all that. Now, the fact that Rappaport mentioned that they were blown away, I think, I think that goes back to, training with Brian Greasy, and preparing for himself for what we all know to be, the biggest interview of his career. The top 30 visit was pretty much an interview to where, hey, you come in, we're gonna put you on the whiteboard, we're gonna ask you some questions, but this whole time leading up to the top 30 visit, he's been training with Brian Greasy. You know what I mean? He's been training concepts. He's been training, footwork under center. He's been doing all these things. So then when you come to the whiteboard and we ask you questions, we say, hey, you got this passing concept, you got this route, this route, but the defense is showing this, and then they run this, what's your what do you see before? What do you go to? Things like that. You know what I mean? I mean, situations are, it can be so many different situations, but the answers that he gives to where they can be like, oh yeah, this dude knows, like, he's been working hard enough to where the all of the information that he's been training for, he understands, right? And he's done that in, I think less than a month, right? It's the 14th, no, about a month. He's been training with Brian Greasy since, I don't know, somewhere around March 20th or something. So it's almost a full month to where he's able to absorb all of this information, and that also gives them an idea to where they say, hey, a month's worth of information, and he's able to absorb all of this. You know what I mean? Like, that just reconfirms what they already knew about him. Being intelligent and all of that. But very excited to see how this all plays out, man. Bueno, we was in somebody's chat yesterday. I forgot who it was, man. And Bueno, he pointed out that there's going to be a lot of controversy in the training camp. How reporters are, and they come and they say, hey, how's he doing with his development? Is he there yet? Are you going to name a starter? And this is something that we're going to hear throughout the entire training camp. You know what I mean? So something to remember, something to prepare for. But for now, man, let me know what you think, man. Drop a comment. The whole quarterback situation. Do you think that Mendoza is gonna earn the spot? You think he got what it takes? And if he doesn't, do you think Cousins is gonna, do good enough to actually make us like some type of competitive? Drop your comments, man. Let me know. I personally, I think that we can get around 8. We've had the best off season, bro. You know what I mean? And just my personal belief in Cousins and what he's capable of, I think he could definitely get us to 8, man. For sure, for sure. And then we still got the draft. Like, man, it's crazy. Things about to start kicking up, man. I did want to talk about something, man. I do want to touch basis on something, man, and just give a little bit of perspective on how I view a certain situation, right? There's this narrative going around that, a lot of people, they think that receiver is the way to go in the second round. I do have my opinions on where they should go. That's not really what I want to talk about. It's the narrative behind drafting a wide receiver, right? Now, people have different opinions, right? It could be, the lack of talent in the wide receiver room. It could be this, it could be that. But one narrative that I have heard I just don't agree with, and a main reason why I made this channel is to share things like this and just give a different perspective, a different outlook for Raider Nation. Something that a lot of people say is that, they need to draft a wide receiver to take away pressure from Mendoza, right? Now, the thing that's wrong with that, and look, you're entitled to your own opinion. I'm not sitting here trying to convince you. Having your own opinion is what makes you your own person, what makes you different. But when it comes to football specifically, there's two things that can help a quarterback, right? It doesn't matter if you're young or a veteran, right? There's two things that can help a quarterback. One is the run game. Two is a great defense, right? When you when you stack the offense with players, it becomes this thing where obviously if it's like high value picks, first round, second round, even third rounds, you're taking away from the defense, right? And if you really look at it, since 2023, I believe it was 23, um, you got Michael Mayer in the second, Trey Tucker in the third. After that, you got Brock Bowers, JPJ, DJ Glaze, and then you got Ashton Jeanty, then you got Jack Besh, right? Those are all high draft picks going towards the offensive side, right? Then you got Leonard Bond, then you got Neller, you know what I mean? And yes, they added to the defense, which is great because they had so many holes in it, right? You had to add, right? But even then, the defense still has more holes than the offense. And when it comes to helping a quarterback, you can't just stack the offense with weapons because what that does is that puts more pressure on the quarterback. Right? You're not taking away pressure, you're adding pressure because the defense isn't going to have the talent because you're not putting the resources in, right? To where they have enough talent and enough skill to prevent the other team from scoring, right? So the other team's gonna score because the defense is less talented. Now what that does is that now the quarterback feels like he has to score every possession, and that creates a habit of taking unnecessary risks. You know what I mean? It always happens in the history of football, right? I mean, look at Tennessee. Tennessee did the exact same thing that people are talking about, right? They addressed the offense. Like they probably added one or two pieces to the defense, but everything was on the offense, right? They built the offensive line in one offseason. They got the quarterback. They added weapons, right? Illuminor. They got Calvin Ridley, or not Illuminor, Io Maynor or something, out of Stanford, right? Calvin Ridley. They got all these pieces, and then now what's left is a young quarterback with all these offensive weapons, and they don't have a defense to help, right? So now the offense has to score. That adds pressure, right? Now with the run game, like it's like the beginning of time, man. The run game is the quarterback's best friend, right? Because if you don't have a run game, then defenses are just going to go to their nickel package or their dime package, right? If they run a nickel base, then they'll be in a dime package. You know what I mean? Because they can stop the run with the front four. But if you have a dominant run game, what that does is that forces the defense to stack the box. And when they stack the box, that's going to open up the pass game. You know what I mean? So I understand why people think that way. I can see why they think that way. But that's not really reality, right? Football is the ultimate team sport, and they say that for a reason. The defensive side of the ball, it has to be competitive, right? And if you look at championship teams, the defense is the better part, right? That's how you win games. You can't win a game if your opponent is scoring all the time, right? And so I understand how you guys are thinking. I understand all of that, but it's just not, it may not be what you guys think it is. The best way to support a quarterback, whether young or old, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Supporting a quarterback is to have a defense that can prevent the other team from scoring so they don't add pressure. And then a run game so then that can open up, the passing game. And then you have somebody to rely on. Kubiak runs the ball 50% of the time. That's 30 times a game. 30 runs, 30 pass. You know what I mean? So got to have that balance in a sport where, you rely on teammates. And so that's going to do it for this video, man. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you were able to gain some perspective in some way, shape, or form. If you want to help support this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you ended up liking the video, man, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. My name is Steady, and I'm going to highlight you on the next one.